I'm going to share about what we call our youth education and entrepreneurship program. It's very important today for the private sector to look at how can we also support employment and how we can support the youth in the community we operate in. And I think after COVID for Schneider Electric, we really realized that, of course, climate is a top priority, but youth education is maybe the next decade top priority, as many children, youth were out of school for quite some time during the COVID. So our program is really built around how can we skill and empower young people to help them build and imagine their future and allow them to be successful in this. So we have three main missions in the program, but today I'm only going to talk about the first one that is interesting for you. It's the mission to support actually technical education in the energy sector to make sure the youth has access to relevant work and to make sure the program in the energy sector are adapted in countries. We have developed this program since 2009, and we did it because we realized at that time with the Schneider Electric Foundation that we could have many social programs, but it was very hard for us to really have an impact. But then looking at education in the energy field, we thought like we have a long-term expertise and also we can bring a lot of expertise from the industry. So that's why we decided that we would support technical and vocational education in countries in partnership with ministries, government, NGOs. And today we support programs from 3 months to 3 years, so certificate to diploma, all at the technician level. And we work in urban, peri-urban, rural areas. So this is why we can support certificate as well as diploma, because sometimes certificates are more adapted as people may not be able to stay in a long-term diploma. We are also working on digital training content, and this is a transition we are making since the COVID-19. So our program is part of the Sustainable Development Strategy, and we are supported financially by the Schneider Electric Foundation, but all of our operations are carried by Schneider Electric in countries. So our proposal is really to develop partnership with local actors in the energy field. So usually we work with NGOs, we work with ministries directly, we work with other donors, agencies that work in the sector, and it's the case, for example, with the GIZ. We have some developed PPP partnership around technical and vocational education. So our objective is through the partnership, how can we support the development of vocational training in the energy field? All of our programs are carried by Schneider Electric locally. It's very important for us that our local offices manage the partnership because they know the local reality and the priorities. So currently we have more than 300 partners in 46 countries. In terms of investment, what Schneider Electric bring, it's really first, we work on equipment because we realized that in the sector, many programs were very theoretical, but not practical. So many people after their training are not able to find a job because they are not able to actually do the basic wiring in electricity. So we have developed an education offer for more than 50 years, but we also provide all the electrical components that are necessary to build good electrical laboratories in industrial electricity, renewable energy, residential electricity. We always adapt to the partner need. We work also in curriculum development because, of course, sometimes we bring new modules or sometimes they need to be modernized. So sometimes we do it directly with public authorities. Sometimes we do it at a local scale with training centers or NGOs. It really depends on the context. And now we also develop a lot of digital tools. We use augmented reality actually to to replicate training equipment, because sometimes we are not able to bring all the equipment that are necessary. So it's a new way to still access to the training. And we also develop online training that is accessible for all of our partners. It's very important to invest also for us in audit and mentoring. Audit because we want to make sure, not just financially, but in terms of activity, that our partners implement the right activity. And mentoring because we believe that our employees can really contribute in mentoring the young students in the program, sharing their expertise and being role model as well for them to see what are the opportunities they can have next. What I would say also after, I know maybe impact assessment is a point that can be interesting for you, because we do audit, but we're also working on an impact assessment strategy, but I will say a word just later. And finally, one of our major contribution is from our employees. They have the expertise. So we organize training mission because we believe that training of trainer is one of the key success in programs, because very often the trainer's knowledge can be outdated or they are not able to use the equipment that we bring. So we want to make sure they will be fully comfortable. And it's also a very good experience for our employees that enjoy sharing their expertise. So we organize mission usually from 5 days to 2 weeks to training partners to really help them. And we have no limit in organizing them to make sure that they can fully understand all the subjects. And we also do organize on-site work with students. So it means that, for example, we can organize a solar electrification project with students for them to really start working on concrete projects before they start working in companies. So some of the programs are in dual training, but to be very honest, it's a bit of a challenge because most of the time when we have dual training program, it's because we are doing a specific test where the government is involved and willing to support. But to have this support from public authorities, it's not always easy. So sometimes we would have, for example, students for 3 to 6 months in program and then 3 to 6 months in the industry. But having like the same rhythm as in Europe of having 1 week of work, 1 week in the industry can be a challenge in terms of having the public support, having the transportation support for the students, and also having the involvement of the private companies. But we do encourage it. We have some program in Morocco, in Congo, for example. But for now, we haven't been able to really scale those programs. So this is our global footprint so far for you to see where we operate. So we have supported the training of more than 397,000 youth, but we have the target of 1 million by 2025. So as you can see, it's a very big challenge, because since we support programs from 3 months to 3 years, it's not only a one-day training program, but we want to make sure we ensure quality before anything. So it takes a lot of time, but we are still very committed. And as you can see, China and India are largely contributing to our programs, because Schneider Electric is very well implemented in these two countries. And we have a national coverage in these two countries now. But we are accelerating our program in South America, in Southeast Asia, in Africa as well. It's sometimes taking more time because, as you may know, the structure, the educational structure is not necessarily the same. And in terms of impact assessment, for now we are doing mostly reporting on the number of people trained, number of trainers supported, number of entrepreneurs supported, but not a lot of impact assessment. It's actually more difficult than we imagine, because we have a very large database, and the training partners, they are not always able to track the students after they finish the program. So we are currently building a framework for impact assessment to give them the right tools to be able to deliver more accessible information, such as the aspiration of the youth, how they feel to go to the industry, and other components.